Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Tessitore. Don't go anywhere. More UConn coverage coming up. Post-game show coming your way in mere moments.
Live from WFSB 3, this is Sports Final.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joe Tessitore, and welcome to Sports Final, the UConn post-game show. Hey, it wasn't long ago. It was a big question. Would UConn finish with a winning record in the Big East? Now, there's no worries. They are the 4th seed heading into the Big East tournament. Let's take a look at the final scoreboard this afternoon. UConn 69-54. They finished the year 21-8, 10-6 in the conference with the 15-point revenge win over Syracuse, who was looking to grab that Big East regular season title today. And as for the big plays that got it done, well, it doesn't get bigger than this. It was 50-47, and Khalid El-Amin, the gutsy 3-ball, 53-47, but he wasn't done there. Take a look at the replay as he dropped in the first of what would be back-to-back threes. As Khalid, yes, we can hear that you are in the groove. 56-47, and that was all she wrote as UConn coasts home to the 15-point win. So let's talk about this win, and the man to do it with us is Tyler Jones, head coach of the CBA champion Connecticut Pride. Tyler, good to have you here. You know a lot about winning. You've done enough of that in the past year. What are your first impressions of this game?
Great energy to start. I thought that El-Amin, Mooring, and Kevin Freeman came out, established their leadership. They were all over the floor, diving around, playing the passing lanes.
Right.
And their aggression to start the game was what really set the tone.
And, of course, El-Amin down the stretch there. I mean, when those are dropping in, the game's going to go your way.
He's a guy that hits big-time shots in big situations.
What I want to ask you, Tyler, there's been a lot of talk about Jim Calhoun and some of the ups and downs he's had to deal with this past couple months. You're in the same situation, repeating, the pressures of repeating. You won the title last year. Talk to me about those pressures.
There's a great deal of pressure because everybody comes at you with their A game. Night in and night out, there are no easy nights for Coach Calhoun and his UConn team. There are no easy nights for us in our CBA schedule. And what you have to do is you have to stay true to your basics, what got you there. UConn up-tempo, they play great solid defense, they play team basketball, established great chemistry last year during the tournament. We face the same thing. Establish the chemistry, play the good defense, and make a run.
And then, of course, you're looking for moments like this. This was your past spring when the CBA Pride took home the title. Now, of course, you and Calhoun trying to make those moments again. What's the #1 thing that you think has to be done to get back?
Well, I'll tell you, you have to establish chemistry. Last year, we had a bunch of guys who weren't drafted by the NBA, weren't drafted by the CBA. Now we're in a situation where these guys have created an opportunity to be successful. I'll never forget that moment holding that trophy. It was one of the best moments that I've ever had in my lifetime.
Do you think a win like this today for UConn could possibly turn things around and get back to that moment that they had in St. Pete?
No question, because what happens now is El-Amin takes a little bit more of that confidence into the Big East tournament. Freeman played well. Aju Deng was big defensively, and he did a great job.
All right, let's take a look at some of the early action because, hey, this was a game full of energy. The crowd was really into this one. They had a call to order from the UConn coaches. They needed your support, and you know what? It showed up early because UConn came out, and they were firing real well. First half from the Civic Center, Kevin Freeman, down low, baseline, little reverse style. It was 2-zip UConn, and they went on an early run. Ryan Blackwell would get blocked, and then on the other end, Albert Mooring drops it in, 5-zip UConn. The break was working well. Mooring takes it to the hole. Freeman the putback, 7-4. But the Orange wouldn't retreat. Damone Brown. Now there's Kevin Freeman with the putback there. But the Orange, we talked about them not retreating. Damone Brown inside. 7-7 game. Then a guy that's really come on from L.A., Tony Bland, the steal. The score, the Orange take their first lead 10-9. And the Huskies, well, they had their fast break working today, Tyler.
Transition is going to be key for UConn's success. How well you run it offensively and get easy buckets, and how well you sprint back and play good defense at the other end.
Freeman showed it big time there. Nice little finger roll, 11-10 Huskies. Albert Mooring 3 ball, 16-12 UConn. And then off the orange miss, UConn pushing it. Freeman up ahead to Elamine. You love this stuff.
Great transition basketball. Reminds me of another Connecticut team that likes to run up and down the floor.
Khalid Elamine was really working it well. Finishing strong right here. Elamine definitely hungry out there today. And of course, coming around for the 3, drops it in. A 10-0 run, UConn by 9. Hey, talk to me about one element in this first half. Aju Dang, what was up with the goaltending?
The guy reminded me of Patrick Ewing 15 years ago in the championship game against North Carolina. He blocks 3 shots in the first half. Dang does the same thing, and let me tell you something. It sets a precedent when you don't see the ball go through the rim.
So Aju Dang is 3rd goaltending. Syracuse would cut it, and then Tony Bland, the nice double pump and the foul. Cuse cut it to 7, but Juan, the almost dunk and the foul. It does go in. 30-22 Huskies at this point. Khalid Elamine for 3. What a day he had. 35-24. Before the half land, Syracuse would sneak back into things. Only down 8 at the half. 35-27. Khalid Elamine and Freeman both with 8 points. Now let's head to the scene of the crime. Our John Mayo is standing by live at the Civic Center. John?
All right, Joe, nice effort here for UConn as they knock off Syracuse. Bouncing back, of course, you don't really want to compare games, but looking back at the first effort against Syracuse and then coming back here, quite a turnaround for the UConn Huskies. And joining me right now is Jim Spinarkle. You just heard him calling the game right here on Channel 3 and CBS. And Jim, nice round for UConn today.
Well, I think when you look at this game compared to the first time they met, I think Khalid Elamine really just stepped up and did what he has to do. I think so much of the focal point is on him without Rip Hamilton and Ricky Moore, and I think it's probably the time for Connecticut fans to forget about those 2 guys. I don't mean forever. I just mean as the tournaments begin.
Let's break this down a little bit. First half, Kevin Freeman, I thought, really keyed the attack. Aju Dang was very active in that first half as well.
Yeah, both of them I thought did a good job of being active, and Freeman in particular, especially down in the second half too. I thought he made a couple of good basketball plays where they were scrambling to get good shots off. He ended up with the ball 15 feet away and got it into the free throw lane, made 1 good pass, made 1 good jump shot. So if he can participate and score some points, that'll help them.
Only 1 3-pointer for Syracuse. The defense for UConn, pretty superb.
I think right from the beginning they were good. They came out with a lot of enthusiasm. I thought the fans here were really supportive, and that kind of picked them up a bit. They went out to the perimeter and did a good job, and yeah, they shut them down, and that's a big part of Syracuse's offense.
Second half, Etan Thomas did his best, comes right out. 3 consecutive follows and putbacks, put him right back in the game.
I think he's a force, and if Syracuse can get him the ball down deep, they're going to be a different type of team, especially as the tournament goes on, especially when they don't run into a big team across the front. But Jake Bosco did a nice job most of it this afternoon, kind of pushing and tugging on him and getting him a little bit away from the basket.
Then it's 47-47, guys, and probably the most athletic play that we've seen all year long. Kevin Freeman switching from the right hand over to the left, gets it going. Jordan did that move once, I think, but against the Lakers. But you see that play, and that really ignited this crowd again and got UConn back into it.
I think that play did do that, and I think that most of the time when there was a lull and there wasn't much in here, I thought UConn did a good job of finding a shot, some kind of activity to get the fans back into it. It was really, I thought, a big difference in today's, not only the final score, but the approach of what happened to this basketball team.
It was 47-47, UConn on a 14-0 run. Elamine hit a couple of threes, put them away. Now, what does this do for UConn now as they head into the Big East tournament?
I think it just sends a message. You know, I was talking to Jim Calhoun right after the game. I think it sends a message where they're back. I think they're maybe not as good as last year at this particular point, but they're getting themselves ready mentally for the Big East tournament and then for the NCAAs.
Great. Jim, thank you so much for joining us. Nice to have you here in Hartford today and calling this game. Joe, I'm going to head into the locker room now, see if it's open, try to get some, I would think, some happy sounds for you, and come back here a little bit later on and bring you some post-game reaction for you.
John, I would think they would be very happy after the big win today. All right, let's get back to where we were breaking down this game. Halftime score, UConn came out. They shot real well in the first half, and at the half, the score was 35-27, Tyler. What did you take away from that first half?
Well, they were physically tough. What they did is they fought over screens, Elamine and Albert Mooring. They really fought to keep Syracuse out of the paint. When you keep teams out of the paint, you take away offensive opportunities. They did a great job at that.
And you see some of the marks there from the first half of this game. 35-27 was the score. Fast break points, little edge to UConn there. What they did was they took advantage when the opportunity was there, Tyler.
Absolutely. With Dang playing big in the middle, Freeman being active, and, of course, Jake in the middle, they got a chance to get out and run early.
And if it wasn't for Tony Bland with his 10 points, perfect from the field, Syracuse would have been blown out right from the start of this game. He was hot. As for the second half, this is the guy that everybody talks about when you talk about Syracuse, Etan Thomas, and he started to take over. How about 37-29, the deficit cut? Etan Thomas just working it down low. And then more from Thomas, the follow-up score. 37-31, Syracuse was only down 6. Orange pushing it to the hoop well. Damone Brown, little oopage. They would close to within 1. UConn was scrambling, and Kevin Freeman was the guy to come up with something. Freeman working it, loose ball. Eventually gets it baseline, and yeah, that's pretty likely of going in when you're going to get that effort. Jason Hart comes right back. Syracuse showing some real guts here, 41-40. Then Ryan Blackwell has been playing a key role for them. They went 24 minutes without the lead, but all of a sudden, 45-44 Qs. Nice scoop pass here, Tyler.
Yeah, it all starts with the penetration. Hart penetrates and kicks it over to the wing for a jump shot.
Big play here. Syracuse turns it over. Voskuhl up ahead. Mooring pops it, 47-45. But Jason Hart would answer. You like Jason Hart's game?
Jason Hart has a chance to be an excellent pro. Makes good decisions and makes some big buckets.
47-47. Then Aju Dang, are you kidding me? Kevin Freeman, watch this move. Get real, 50-47. And then we talked about it earlier, Tyler. Game on the line. You got to have your leader come up big, and that's exactly what Elamine did.
Style, charisma, loves to take the big shot in the big spot. Elamine delivers again.
Not just once, but twice. And folks, these were the plays of the game. This was the difference maker. Colin Elamine with the back-to-back three-pointers. It opened up that gap, and then Jake Voskuhl just put it away. The score and the foul, that made it a 13-point game. So all of a sudden, 47-47. The next thing you know, 60-47. 13-0 UConn run, and thus sweet revenge is theirs. You remember what happened up in Syracuse the first time. Well, guess what? Right back at you. 69-54. UConn now 21-8, that 4th seed. Of course, the seeding doesn't matter to a great extent because they still have to play a first-round game come the Big East tournament. Only the top 3 do. But what this game does, a lot of confidence when they needed it the most.
Great confidence for this team going into the tournament. You have their big guys step up and give you a big game.
Prime postseason position. Another Connecticut school is looking for that. Hey, let's check in on Central Connecticut State. Second game of the NEC tournament. If this holds up, and look at that scoreboard, it looks like it will, they will be 40 minutes away from the NCAA tournament. Well, we will have much more on Sports Finals postgame show coming your way. When we come back, Eric Clemens will try to answer some of the questions of what happened over the past month and a half, the ups and downs of the UConn season. Plus, is Kevin Freeman CBA material or NBA material? Hey, we got the guy with the answer right here. We're going to talk about the pro futures of some of the UConn Huskies when Tyler comes back. Welcome back, folks. Joe Tessitore along with Tyler Jones, and there it is, 69-54. UConn finishes up the regular season at 10-6. They will be the number 4 seed when the Big East tourney gets underway at Madison Square Garden. Of course, there was a time recently when who knew what seed they were going to get. Up and down season, the pressures of defending, and that grind of the Big East schedule. Eric Clemens looked for some answers.
Perhaps that confident UConn team that boasted a nice mix of veterans and youngsters and scored impressive wins over highly touted Duke and later over Arizona did indeed play a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Little did we know it then, but when the Huskies dropped their Big East home opener to Troy Murphy and Notre Dame at the Civic Center, it would mark the beginning of a roller coaster ride that has many followers wondering, what's up?
It was difficult because we were just standing there and just wanting to shoot over it. Didn't anyone want to penetrate to kick it out? Nobody want to flash to the gap. So we didn't want to do that tonight. I don't know.
Collins's words seemed to ring true, but also seemed to spark his teammates, who followed with 2 straight victories including an impressive home showing against Chris Mim and a tough Texas team. It would be UConn's last victory against a solid quality ball club.
You know, in order for us to win the basketball game, we need to try to limit their touches. I mean, you know, with players that they have there, you know, they're still going to get their points down low, but the key is really just trying to limit it.
The St. John's contest began a trend that has seen the Huskies fall short and get out-hustled on their own home floor. Not ranked in the top 25 at the time, the Red Storm made every big play down the stretch, handing the Huskies their second straight Big East home loss. After a victory at Georgetown came another disturbing 40 minutes. UConn went into Syracuse and peeled themselves up off the dome floor after being rolled over. A couple of players admitted they got punked by the Orangemen. Now it seemed the confidence and swagger of last year's national champions was shaken. Again, the men rebounded with 3 straight victories, including a win over a much-improved Seton Hall squad. But when it was time to show up on a visit to Michigan State, the Huskies were minus 2 suspended players, and it seemed minus their hearts. Michigan State avenged a loss at Gamble last season and had this one won by halftime. By now, their national ranking was falling faster than a plane out of fuel. Questions were arising about potential tournament seedings, and another tough loss against Notre Dame, completing the Irish's sweep of the Huskies for the season, didn't help. After a great start at home against defensive-minded Miami, UConn may have danced too soon. The Hurricanes locked on their defense and outfought the Huskies, sending them to another conference defeat, and more importantly, they were staring at St. John's and potentially their first 2-game losing streak of the season.
I think there's a lot more things we could have done with the basketball, like try passing to a teammate. Probably the best suggestion I could have given them. I think as I said, to get beat that badly on the backboards allowed them to shoot their 59%. In the key situations, they get second and third shots. And then, you know, it just seemed like we had no idea. I mean, we had 3 assists besides whatever our point guard got. And he wasn't very good. And we had 3 assists beyond that. I mean, once again, we played some pretty good teams. Miami played terrific defense on us, but they stopped us and we stopped us too.
The Red Storm contest confirmed what many were believing by now. For some reason, the Huskies have fallen into a rut that renders them seemingly unable to get the job done against quality competition. Perhaps too much was expected of this team, filled with young players and no real superstars. But going into the day, the last 2 games have seen the team on the upward slope again. Mind you, struggles and close victories over the likes of West Virginia and Rutgers aren't the makings of a national champion. But late-game heroics always give hope.
Thanks, Eric. You know, the thing I take away from that, Tyler, is there have been losses in recent years by the UConn men. You're going to catch losses in the grind of a competitive Division I schedule, but there were some ugly losses during this stretch and some games where you just shake your head at. What did you make of that stretch they went through?
Well, they lost some games that weren't really because of the lack of effort. They play hard, they try to play smart, but again, the roll of the ball doesn't always go your way. Again, as a #1 team in the country, national championship by defending team, you have to be prepared to take everybody's A game, and they got beat, but they're okay, and they'll be fine going into the tournament postseason.
Well, they're okay because they still have lots of talent, and now maybe a little bit of confidence. Speaking of talent, this is what I've been waiting for. When we come back, we're going to talk to the man over here who coaches former UConn Huskies and develops them for the next level. What does he think about the guy he's got now, Ricky Moore, and some of the guys that'll be giving up the rest of their college days soon and heading to pro ball? We're talking Ricky Moore when we come back. 69-54, the UConn Huskies come up with a big win today. Welcome back to Sports Final, the postgame show. I'm Joe Tessitore, along with the coach of the Connecticut Pride, Tyler Jones, CBA champion Connecticut Pride, looking to defend the title. You have a great UConn connection because you end up coaching these guys every year when they go pro. I want to talk about 4 guys in particular, and let's start with Donnie Marshall because Donnie just had some great news.
Donnie needed some time to play. He needed to get himself back in basketball. He came into training camp focused and with a mission to get back to the NBA. He's done a great job and has realized his dream. I lost him a week and a half ago, and he's doing his thing for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Donnie's up in Cleveland right now on a 10-day contract. Of course, Ricky Moore hoping to get up.
Ricky is learning the NBA game quickly. He's a quick study. He's a tremendously talented defensive player. And offensively, we're getting him to run the pro game, a little bit more pick-and-roll action. and he's making some good decisions. And Ricky just has to bide his time, but he's got the skills to get to the next level.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to talk about Ricky Moore for a moment here. Ricky Moore was a guy who a lot of people thought would definitely get drafted just because of his defensive skills. I talked to Ricky. He said Denver was so close to making him the 33rd pick. They went with Herron instead. Were you surprised when Ricky Moore went by the NBA draft?
Well, a lot of times when guys get the spotlight that Ricky had in the NCAA tournament, you think that you're going to be able to parlay that into a draft choice. Ricky wasn't, but unfortunately for him, life doesn't end there. You got to get yourself back together mentally and emotionally and get yourself into a situation where you can play and continue to develop.
Now, as for the two guys that are seniors on this UConn team right now, you're out there watching a ton of college basketball. You watch a ton of pro. Kevin Freeman, NBA or CBA?
Right now, at this moment, I project CBA only because he does not have a defined NBA position. Not quite big enough to cover the Malones and Garnetts at the 4 spot. Not quite quick enough to cover the Grant Hills and Scottie Pippins at the 3 spot. But, oh my goodness, is he athletic, and his athleticism alone will buy him an opportunity to play.
Well, not having a defined position was not a good year for that, as he was trying to play all over the place, the 3 and the 4. Jake Voskuhl, NBA or CBA?
Well, right now I project him a little bit ahead of Travis Knight. We all know Travis Knight's a wealthy guy making a lot of money in the NBA. NBA potential for Voskuhl.
It's always nice to back up Shaq, too.
He's got it easy.
He really does, my man. All right, more Sports Final when we come back. Welcome back to Sports Final, the post-game show. Your final score, 69-54. UConn comes up with a big win to finish the Big East season at 10-6. And one of the reasons why that was the final score was this little sequence in the second half when Khalid El-Amin stepped up and said, you know what? This is my team and my moment. Bang, 3-ball. Khalid, gutsy, had back-to-back. He wanted to hear it. He would hear plenty of it. And the guy that just heard from plenty of the Huskies is John Mayo, who's standing by live at the Civic Center. John, what do you got for us?
Well, you were right. That 14-0 run there, tied at 47, really keyed UConn over the top. El-Amin hitting the 2 3-pointers, but I thought the big basket of the game, I mentioned it earlier, was Kevin Freeman, that left-handed scoop. It really fired this crowd up, and that kid definitely did not want to leave his last game ever at the Civic Center with a loss.
We're just trying to put us on a roll. Like I said before, a couple of days ago, we're trying to get a roll going into the tournament, going into March, and definitely to the Big East tournament. And we just want to, let people know we're still here, a team to be played, and you can't look past us.
I think it was really special for Kevin and myself, especially. I think it's good for the team because it's important to get into a roll, and we've really done that now. We've won the last 3. The team's playing better and better, and I think it was nice to go out, with the win and with our last home game. So
yeah, we just came out. We were ready to play. We wanted to win. We were mad. Everybody was mad from the last time we went down there. We lost by a lot of points, so we just came out. We wanted to win, and we executed well, played good defense, and that's how I won the game.
Well, if you're going to get on a roll, now is the correct time to do so. Again, they've got the Big East tournament coming up next. I'm not sure if you mentioned it, Joe. Well, I was in the locker room. They're the number 4 seed now, and we'll wait and find out who they play after a game tomorrow. I believe it's Pittsburgh and, fresh my memory, is it Rutgers? And
Providence?
Providence, okay. The loser of that game is what UConn will have coming up.
Well, I don't think UConn's going to have much trouble in that first round of the Big East, but they're going to have key games, Tyler Jones, when it gets into that Big East, because seeding is becoming critical for the NCAAs. Hey, what we just heard in the locker room there, you can hear it in the voice now. That was a good win. It meant something.
It really did. Those guys are confident. They're sky high. They beat a very good Syracuse team, well-coached team. They will definitely take this into the postseason.
You're going to be taking something into the postseason, my friend. Looking forward again?
Absolutely. We're going to try to repeat.
All right, Connecticut Pride, keep an eye out for them. And this man right here, Tyler Jones, last year's Coach of the Year. Hey, next Sunday, here it is, 6:30, the NCAA Selection Show. And you know what? The way things are going, folks, we may be looking to see who Central Connecticut State will be playing come that day. And, of course, all March long, if the UConn men are playing, tune in right here. March Magic, we will have the pregame, the postgame shows, and all your specials throughout the month of March. Your final score for the final time, 69-54 UConn. For Tyler Jones, I'm Joe Tessitore. Have a great evening, everybody.